Have you ever walked into a room and just known? Not because anyone told you or because you had proof, but because you felt it with every cell of your being. You felt who was carrying grief they didn't have words for, who was about to leave a job they have not yet admitted they hate, who was quietly contemplating a divorce, who is wearing masks in public, holding themselves together, and then falling apart the moment they get home, running away from the ache of betraying themselves and numbing discomfort with a glass of wine. Have you ever felt someone pulling away? A new acquaintance, a friend, or maybe a love interest? Not because of you, but because an old abandonment wound just got activated. And you can watch, almost in slow motion, the pattern unfolding before they're even aware of it, or maybe even after they thought they had already worked through it. As they move towards sabotaging through their avoidance the very connection they may have deeply wanted, even prayed for. And you can't explain or prove anything. You just know. If you're listening to this and something is quietly nodding, then this video is for you. Being an empath doesn't feel like a superpower. It feels like being born into this world without skin. Like everyone else has this natural barrier or layer of protection between themselves and the world. And you don't. Everything touches you directly and so deeply. Unspoken truths, emotions, silence, tension, other people's fears, patterns, avoidance, emotional dependency, shame, grief, hope, you name it. And you don't just hear words or see actions. You can actually feel what lives underneath them. And somehow people sense this about you. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they do feel that safety. Maybe you were even told about that many times. You can literally be sitting by yourself, reading a book or drinking your coffee, observing other people, and someone sits right next to you, even there are plenty of other tables available, and they start talking. It can be an Uber driver, a stranger, a coworker, a neighbor, and they tell you things that they don't usually share, things that they did not plan to say. And suddenly, you're holding something very tender, usually without even asking a single question. For a long time, I didn't understand why this kept happening to me. Like, I thought there was something wrong with me, and if you've ever felt this way too, it absolutely makes sense because there is so much contradictory information out there about empathy and sensitivity. Some people say that you were born this way as a highly sensitive person with deep nervous system processing. Other people say that that's an adaptation mechanism as a result of early life experiences and environment. So I'll let you choose what to believe. But many empathic people did grow up in environments where emotions were not named or held, where caregivers were emotionally absent, unavailable, unpredictable, or overwhelmed. And if you grow up like that, you learn that reading the room becomes the survival. So maybe you learned how to track tone shifts, moods, notice what is not being said because it mattered for your survival. And when you tried to talk about what you sensed, you were probably told you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, you're imagining things, you're overreacting, think logically, be normal, act normal. And over time, you learn something very painful, not to trust what you feel. And this is exactly where the real damage happens. One of the first hard lessons empaths have to learn is this: not everyone has the same heart you do. You assume sincerity because you are sincere. You assume honesty because you are being honest. And when you feel something or someone is off, even if everything looks fine on the surface, like they may sound or look kind, you start doubting yourself. Again and again, you're overriding your instincts. You're explaining it away, you're rationalizing. You keep giving people the benefit of the doubt again and again until life proves you wrong. Not once, not twice, but over and over. And that creates an inner quiet war in you between your mind and your knowing. And there is another painful truth that empaths have to learn, which is you can hold space for so many people, and very little people, if at all, can hold space for you. So you listen, you stabilize, you contain, you overextend yourself. And then very slowly, you start feeling foggy, exhausted, drained, and absolutely disconnected from yourself. People love to call empathy a gift. But if I'm being completely honest, it didn't feel like one to me for a very long time. Because how can something be a gift or a blessing if you didn't ask to carry it? And it costs you peace and ability to function in this world. And empaths don't just feel deeply. They often reflect what's happening around them. And if you reflect something to someone when they're not ready to see it, what ends up happening is that they pull away, run, deflect, ghost, or label you as the problem. Not because you're wrong, but because what is being reflected back to them is asking something of them, which is to stay, to look, to face parts of themselves that they have avoided. And not everyone is ready for that, and that's okay. It's not your job to take on additional emotional labor by chasing, explaining, making them understand what happened. It took me years to understand this. Empathy without boundaries is self-abandonment and self-erasure. But empathy with boundaries and discernment brings clarity. What really helped me is learning to understand myself and trust my sensitivity instead of fighting it. That allowed me to learn how to listen deeply and be there for people without caring what wasn't mine. I started seeing it that way. Imagine someone who has been living in a dark room for a very long time. Not because that they're bad, but because that's the way they've learned how to survive there, by keeping it very dark. And then all of a sudden they meet someone who brings light with their presence. Not intentionally, not to expose or fix anything, but just being present and emotionally attuned. And when the light turns on suddenly, it reveals everything that has always been there. Dust, mold, the old messes, the patterns long avoided. And the first reaction is not gratitude. It's instinctive flinching. Not at the light, but at what light has just revealed. This reaction is about the discomfort this person is experiencing, not you. You're not the mess, you're not the mold, you're not any of that. You're just the presence that has just revealed or made something visible to a person who was not ready to see it yet. I also like to think of it like a mirror. Some people pass by a mirror and feel at ease because they have already done the work and met themselves without anesthesia. While others, once they catch a glimpse of something they've been avoiding, instead of staying with it, it becomes easier to believe that mirror is the problem. So they pull away, they leave, they ghost, they deflect, they project. Not because you did something wrong, but because the reflection asked something of them, which they were not ready or able to give, to see, or act upon. And sometimes, much later, if they choose to look inward and grow, They may realize what had actually happened, and they may even want to come back. And they return not because of you, but because they've done their inner work. They were able to see that what actually happened was that you just activated something that was already there in them. And while forgiveness can be offered with an open heart as an act of grace, closeness and the ability to be back into your life is something that you get to choose for yourself. Here's the part that changes everything. You're not here to save anyone. Yes, you can reflect something that may be true in a moment. You can offer presence which may activate something without intention. But you can't heal anyone. You can't do the work for other people. It's not your responsibility to carry what is not yours. You are not responsible for other people's unconscious patterns. Boundaries are not walls. They're filters that protect your clarity, your nervous system, and your incredibly loving, sensitive heart. Your ability to stay soft in your heart without being consumed. If someone's presence brings constant chaos, anxiety, confusion, especially after you've shown your kindness, presence, vulnerability, and open heart, that's information. Your peace is your compass. It shows exactly who is ready to meet you where you are based on their level of emotional and relational capacity. People can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. And if someone chooses to disengage, please do not internalize it. It's not personal. One thing I want to name, which has mattered more than anything else for me, is non-attachment. Not indifference, not detachment, not closing your heart, but it's learning how not to attach your sense of safety to outcomes that you cannot control, because nothing in this life is guaranteed. I know this personally. It took me many years to move toward earned, secure way of relating, learning how to stay grounded, how to stay present, how not to abandon myself when connection is not emotionally safe. This is when empathy stops being something that drains and becomes something that can be used intentionally and taken back when it's not honored, so that you can leave, not survive, so that you can build your life, create, experience joy regardless of how you're being perceived. Being understood or validated is no longer the goal, because you know who you are. The deeper intelligence that created you knows who you are, and that becomes more than enough. If you're an empath in this world and you happen to be watching this video right now, I want you to know you're not broken, you're not naive, you are not too much. You were just never taught how to protect your sensitivity without closing or losing your heart. Learning to trust yourself again is the work. Choosing discernment over self-sacrifice is the work. You don't need proof to honor what you feel. You are allowed to believe your knowing and trust yourself. And you're allowed to choose yourself. Your heart is beautiful. Your heart is a portal. Happy New Year.